You hear the name Ramayana and probably picture a story. A prince, a kingdom, a war, a flying bridge across the sea. But the real question is far stranger. What if a story remembered by billions contains traces of a world that once existed? For thousands of years, people across South Asia have treated the Ramayana as more than entertainment. It became a guide to ethics, kingship, family duty, and human behavior. Yet historians ask a different question. Did the events of the Ramayana actually happen? The answer depends on what you mean by happened. The oldest surviving version is traditionally attributed to the sage Valmiki. Scholars generally place the composition of the Valmiki Ramayana sometime during the first millennium BCE, though parts may preserve much older oral traditions. Before it was written down, it was likely passed from generation to generation by storytellers. How much changed during those centuries? Nobody knows for certain. That uncertainty is where the mystery begins. Ancient epics often contain a mixture of memory and imagination. Homer's Iliad was long treated as myth until Heinrich Schliemann uncovered the ruins of Troy in the 19th century. The discovery did not prove every detail of the epic. It showed that a legendary story could preserve memories of real places and conflicts. Could the Ramayana be similar? Researchers have looked for clues in geography. One reason is that the epic describes many locations in remarkable detail. Cities, forests, rivers, mountains, and coastlines appear throughout the narrative. Some places mentioned in the text correspond to real locations that still exist today. Ayodhya, traditionally associated with Rama's birthplace, remains an important city. The island identified with Lanka is commonly associated with Sri Lanka. Yet matching a place name does not automatically prove an event occurred there. Ancient storytellers often set narratives in real landscapes. A modern novel can take place in London without becoming a historical record. The most famous geographical clue lies between India and Sri Lanka. Satellite images reveal a chain of limestone shoals stretching across the shallow waters of the Pak Strait. Many people identify this formation with Rama's bridge, often called Ram Setu. The structure has fascinated geologists, archaeologists, historians, and believers alike. Could it be an ancient man-made bridge? Most geological studies conclude that the formation is natural. Processes involving sandbanks, coral growth, sediment deposition, and changing sea levels can create chains of islands and shoals. Researchers from organizations, including the Geological Survey of India, have generally supported natural explanations. Yet the story refuses to disappear. Why? Because the bridge exists. Anyone can see it from satellite imagery. When a legendary text mentions a crossing between India and Lanka, and a visible formation sits in exactly that region, curiosity becomes inevitable. Even if geology explains the structure naturally, the coincidence continues to inspire debate. Archaeology faces another challenge. The Ramayana is traditionally placed in a remote past. Different interpretations suggest dates ranging from a few thousand years ago to far earlier. Archaeology works best when evidence can be directly connected to specific individuals, events, or cultures. So far, no excavation has produced an artifact that can be confidently identified as belonging to Rama, Sita, Lakshmana, or Hanuman. Does that settle the question? Not necessarily. Absence of evidence is not always evidence of absence. Most people who lived in the ancient world left little trace behind. Entire settlements vanish beneath forests, rivers, deserts, and modern cities. Archaeologists frequently work with fragments rather than complete stories. The historian Ramala Thapar has argued that epics should not automatically be read as literal historical documents. Instead, they reveal how societies understood themselves and their values. In this view, the importance of the Ramayana does not depend on proving every event happened exactly as described. Other researchers approach the text differently. Archaeologist B. Lal explored links between archaeology and ancient Indian traditions. While careful about making direct claims, he argued that literary traditions should not be dismissed without examination. Ancient texts can preserve cultural memories that point researchers toward real historical contexts. Then there is the question of oral tradition. Anthropologists have found that oral societies can preserve information for surprisingly long periods. Stories often change, but key elements sometimes survive for centuries. Australian Aboriginal traditions, for example, may contain memories of coastlines that existed thousands of years ago before sea levels rose. Studies discussed by researchers such as Patrick Nunn suggest that collective memory can travel across extraordinary spans of time. Could something similar have happened with the Ramayana? Imagine generations repeating the same story around fires, in villages, in royal courts, and in temples. Details shift. Characters grow larger than life. Miracles appear. Symbolism deepens. Yet a distant memory of real people, places, migrations, or conflicts might remain hidden inside the narrative. This possibility fascinates historians because it occupies the space between myth and fact. The Ramayana itself contains elements that challenge literal interpretation. Flying vehicles, shape-shifting beings, armies of Vanaras, and supernatural weapons stretch beyond what historians can verify. But ancient epics rarely separate the natural and supernatural the way modern readers do. For the people who first heard these stories, the miraculous was part of reality. That changes how the text must be approached. Instead of asking whether every event happened exactly as written, some scholars ask a different question. What historical experiences inspired the story in the first place? Was it a memory of ancient political struggles? A recollection of migrations across regions? A symbolic reflection of conflicts between kingdoms? No consensus exists. Yet the search continues because the Ramayana is more than a single book. Versions appear across India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Indonesia, Cambodia, and beyond. Each culture adapted the narrative while preserving its core structure. Such widespread survival suggests that the story resonated deeply with human experience. Duty, loyalty, exile, loss, hope. These themes help the epic endure long after the historical circumstances that may have inspired it disappeared. The most surprising twist is that history and mythology are not always enemies. In many ancient cultures, they evolved together. Historical memories became stories. Stories became traditions. Traditions became sacred narratives. Over centuries, separating one layer from another becomes extraordinarily difficult. That is exactly where the Ramayana stands today. No archaeological discovery has proven the entire epic as literal history. No evidence has conclusively disproven that real events, places, or people contributed to its creation. Between those two positions lies a vast landscape of uncertainty. And uncertainty is not a weakness. It is what keeps researchers digging, reading, comparing texts, studying geology, and searching ancient sites. So was the Ramayana a real historical event? The most honest answer is that nobody knows with certainty. What historians can say is that the epic contains real geography, ancient cultural memory, and traditions that have survived for millennia. What they cannot yet say is where history ends and legend begins. You started with a story about a prince, a kingdom, and a war. You end with something much stranger. A reminder that some of humanity's oldest stories may be neither pure myth nor proven history, but echoes from a distant past that people never stopped trying to remember. And now the question passes to you. Was the Ramayana inspired by real events? Or is it a powerful myth that shaped civilizations? What do you think?
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, share it with others, and subscribe for more amazing content. See you in the next video.